We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and also I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. As we go to prayer, please remember the family of Lieutenant Ed Prater, who passed away last month, for the Fort Wayne District State Trooper who was killed in line of duty, and the Chicago police officer who was killed in line of duty in the last 2 weeks. We thank you, Lord, for the chance to stand before you and soak in all that you bless us with, the ability to stand and pledge and serve. We ask that you would provide us with wisdom and guidance as this group deliberates, that you'd provide safety and protection to all of our personnel who are serving our community and out in our streets, and that you would bless their families, that you would surround those that grieve with your comfort and care, and that you would lead us on into joyous celebration and gathering as we continue to let this community thrive and grow under your care. We ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Josh Gilbert.
Present.
Jim Multhoff.
Present.
Davey Lobos.
Present.
Charlie Caber.
Present.
Norm Stick.
Present.
Lynn Fisher.
Here.
Todd Wilkening.
Here.
Carl Brittingham.
Here.
Nick Mager.
Here.
Ralph Miller.
Present.
Nick Recupito.
Here.
David Oshman.
Present. Okay, ask for public comment once.
I'm going to take a statement, if I may.
Just, tell us who you are.
Okay, Chaplain Ken Pulen, 7124 West 137th Place. I'm here to invite you all to participate with us in a chili cook-off. We're going to have various people make chili, and officers and firefighters go ahead and be the judges for that event. It'll be May 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. It'll be held at St. Michael Archangel Church over on 133rd. And the proceeds will be going to a charity yet to be determined. We have only had an organizational meeting, not a process meeting yet. So we'd love to have you come. That's our hope, that we can extend some fellowship and camaraderie amongst our departments and their families, and let the community participate in a very positive event for the community and the police and fire departments. So that's our goal, and I think we're going to charge $1 per sample. So that'll be the buy-in on that. Okay. Another moment of personal privilege, if I may. I would like to thank you. I just returned moments ago from Akron, Ohio, where Father Chaplain John Kowalczyk and I attended the Regional Law Enforcement Chaplains training event, and had a terrific experience just exploring a little bit more of law enforcement tactics and work, and being a little more aware of how we can be supportive to those personnel. And I've got some really exciting learnings from that, and some ideas that we'll get with the chiefs here and bring back to you at an appropriate time after we get some feedback on that. So thank you very much for the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
Chaplain, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So this chili cook-off, we don't have to make chili.
Correct.
We
You
just
have to
get to
judge.
eat it.
You just get to.
All right, I'm all about that. You can
Now,
you can
it's
put
$1
it
a bowl. Now,
I am cooking it.
if you have personnel that need to put entries in,
Okay.
you need to make that happen.
All right.
I think he might have a couple over there.
Uh-huh.
we'll get them both.
All right.
To add to the chaplain's training that they had, this is gonna go pair up with our wellness policy that we're creating. So,
Okay, I'll ask for a second time, third time. All right, I'll move on. Approval of the minutes of Thursday, February 16th, 2003. Can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Jim Altoff made the motion, second.
I'll second.
David Villalobos made the second. Roll call vote, please.
Josh Gumbert,
Yes.
Jim Olthoff,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes,
Norm Stick.
Yes. Thank you. Vips report.
sorry that Lieutenant Larry couldn't be here, he has COVID, so he wanted me to read this to you. They had a total of 4 call-outs for the month, 1 accident, with 1 accident. Let's see, 23 hours of patrol and 24 hours of miscellaneous. They were called out for a PI accident for the month of February. And then, Mr. Van Diver was excused with his hours because he had a baby.
Congratulations to him. Is that all for that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Police department, we've got equipment. I don't think that you and I are seeing eye to eye. on
That's
that
true.
yet, but we'll move on.
Okay.
We all basically, had, the chief gave us a report on the K-9, discussion on that before we move. Anybody have any, discussion? Josh, do you have any further discussion on the K-9?
No, I do not. No, I don't.
Gentlemen, do you have any further discussion?
No, I think it's a great thing, everything is covered, we have a little overtime expense, which is not gonna amount to much at all, being that we're getting a free dog, so I think it's a great thing.
So then at this time,
Mr. Chairman, if you could then, get request a motion to send a favorable recommendation to the county council for me.
you interrupted me when I was gonna say that.
Well, I thought it was me asking you to do that.
Well, okay, thank you. Can we have a, can I have a motion to, send a favorable recommendation to the council to, move forward with the K-9 program?
So moved.
Okay, Charlie Caper made the recommendation. Pardon?
Josh Gumbert,
Second, Josh?
Yeah.
Roll call vote, please.
Josh Gumbert,
Yes.
Jim Olthoff,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes.
Norm Stick.
Yes.
Billy, could you give us just a little explanation on what's gonna happen?
Yes, sir. So we have selected the officer. We were given the opportunity from a local business person that donated the entire cost of a brand-new police K-9. All of the training, the purchase of the dog, and the dog kennel, which would be absolutely no cost to the town of Cedar Lake. We would just have to pay for his salary while he's there. The facility in which he's gonna train at, which is called lost my train of thought there, what's it called?
F&M.
F&M, thank you, FM K-9 facility actually has a house on the property that the K-9 officers stay at, so that is included in the training, so that won't cost the town. We'll just have to pay for a little food while he's there. It's only about an hour and a half away. We've traveled up there twice. It's a very nice facility. And when the dog comes back, the actual donator that's donating the money is going to fly in from Pennsylvania to be present when it's presented in front of the council.
Wonderful.
Good.
I've also got a few other donations now that they heard that we were trying to put into the dog program together, so I don't think we're gonna have to pay for any food. I don't think we definitely are not gonna have to buy any equipment for the dog, so.
So if someone wants to donate, they send it to a non-reverting fund?
They can
or-
send it to the police department, which we will start a non-reverting fund through the town council, but that'll have to go in front of the team first, so.
Ordinance.
Yeah, for ordinance, so that'll be something that we'll have a couple of weeks to do that, so.
Okay.
Yeah, Jen's gone, so we couldn't even get in front of Dave for a couple of weeks anyways, probably, so.
Any questions before we move on? Okay, we're going to, the next one. Can you give us an update on the cars, vehicles?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So I had a very good conversation with the clerk treasurer and the financial advisor, Corby. As you know, we have been dealing with some breakdowns on some vehicles and wanted to move forward with the purchase of our 4 vehicles this year. We had a sit down with them. I explained the increase in costs that's gone nationwide. So I am looking to get a favorable recommendation on a letter from you to pass to the council so that we could move forward with the purchase once the clerk treasurer is satisfied with it and we are good to go. So this is preemptive. I'm hoping that she'll be good to go next month.
Did you mention that the cars went up $10,000?
They went up more than that.
More than
So,
that
yeah,
now?
with the outfitting the squad car and the purchase of the squad car will be about 56 grand each. Just to show you what it was when I got my same vehicle in 2019, it was about 38,000.
And the town's financial advisor said it's feasible.
Yeah, it was in our, what is that called?
Sustainability.
For 4 new vehicles this year and next year, and then in 2025 moved up to 5 because of the increase in population and staffing.
Any questions? Okay, motion to send a recommendation to the town council for moving forward with vehicle purchases.
So moved.
Okay, Charlie made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jim Altoff seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Josh Gobert,
Yes.
Jim Olsop,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes,
Norm Stick.
Yes. Motion carried. Okay, communications, number 4 there.
Yes, Board, we received a letter that you got from the Hanover Red Cedar School from Dr. Ryan Eckhart, the school principal. It says, kudos to officer. I wanted to let you know that we had a case conference for a student in the emotional disability classroom today. The parent is so appreciative and thankful for the work Officer Alande, Corporal Alande, does with her child. She wanted to share with the committee how happy she is that he has made a connection with her son and has helped inform other officers how to support her son when they are on shifts at the Red Cedars. We, as a school, are so appreciative of the work Jason does when he is here, especially with our students that are served in the ED classroom. Respectfully, Dr. Ryan Eckhart, Principal, Red Cedars Elementary School, Hanover Central Community School Corporation. We also received a very nice card. As you recall, Corporal Pennington's stepfather passed away. We sent some flowers to him. So it was in southern Indiana, so we couldn't even attend. And so the last one is, we opened up the window last week to find a paper towel there with this on it. My name is Laura, and I was the vet tech that came out to assess the cat for the 2 officers that answered the call about the cat on the side of the road in the new subdivision by Burdan's Funeral Home. When they told me that they would, quote, take care of the cat, I started crying. I'm pretty sure they probably thought I was upset about their method. I just wanted to let them know that the tears were for the cat and its suffering and for the sad state of humanity. They showed compassion for me and the cats. They didn't have to call. They just wanted to make sure it was the right thing for the cat, and I appreciate them for that. Please tell them thank you for me, thank you for caring for and for doing the right thing. Thank you for doing the hard jobs. Much to you all. Be safe. No signature on it. And that was Officer Machok and Corporal Machok and Officer Lewis for a animal call that we got, that the animal was hit, and they had to put it down. Oh, it was taped to the window because the window was closed. So
Anyway, it works.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Move on to number 5, finances.
Yes, as you recall, most of you were here. We presented a check to the Nick Foundation, Northwest Indiana Kids with Cancer Kids, in the amount of $4,000 that we raised. Thanks to many of you that helped out, specifically the Eagles were a big contributor, really helped out, actually help us achieve our goal of the $4,000, which was fantastic. And we're gonna continue to do that each and every year, try to find a foundation that we can do it for. And we just received a grant from the Crown Point Community Foundation for $2,500 for shields. As you guys can recall, last year, we had an incident in Robin's Nest of a suicidal subject where one of my officers stood next to a wall that was just a regular wall for about 45 minutes negotiating with this individual that had a weapon to his head. And the officer had zero protection but stood there anyways and continued over and over. This was last year or 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Stood there over and over and continued to negotiate with them until we got the SWAT team there. And eventually the negotiators talked him out, believe it or not, with a cigarette, and got him some help. After that point, we really started looking forward to having an ability to protect the officers if we have to do something like that. And we come up with the conclusion we need to have some shields inside the cars that can be deployed. So right now, we're in the process of wanting to purchase those, with that 2,500, 5 shields, which would be in each one of the supervisor's car and one additional one on the station. Our goal would be to eventually have enough to put them in every car. They're not the standard shield you think of as a SWAT shield. It's more of a collapsible mesh type body vest material. It's pretty similar to that, so that it doesn't take up a ton of space. So, but it'll offer the officer protection in a situation like that, should that subject turn his weapon the other direction. So.
Six, staffing.
As we previously discussed, we're working very hard on the employee assistance program as well as the funding and wellness program, and this is going to go directly with the two, well, it's all kind of combined, so the Too Good for Drugs is kind of involved in there. Up front here, this is our current intern. This is Mona Garcia.
Hi.
She's the intern that is getting her master's degree in social work. Our intentions that I've presented to our town would be that next year after she receives her master's degree that we try to get her on our department as a social worker to work with police, fire, and the public. We are working on possible funding mechanisms for this to help alleviate any funding costs from the town. Through HealthLink, we had a great meeting with the, what do you call him, the person that divvies out the money?
Yeah, like the administrator.
Administrator, that he was very excited to hear this. We using the idea that Griffith PD currently utilizes. If you're not aware of this, Griffith PD has a social worker, and it's becoming pretty much standard across the country, especially northern Indiana. And this social worker does a multitude of things, but recently has been assisting me not only with the wellness program, well, this is what no one has been doing, the wellness program, the peer support team, developing it, bringing people together. We've had Amy, Captain Amy early in with, for us to choose a peer support person, but this is all connected to the wellness program. And she's also been very critical with the help of Sarah to bring in these EAP programs because we don't actually have an employee assistance program right now in the town. So we're trying to do something to develop that at minimum for police and fire right now, but potentially for the whole town. So that is what we're working on with the staffing stuff.
Yeah, and David Villalobos and I have been following, and you do an excellent, with you, Sarah, you guys are doing an excellent job
Thank
on
you.
that, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. We've had she's our third one, and by far has exceeded our expectations from past. So she has just hit the ground running.
I didn't realize you was that hard on them.
Could be me, yes.
All right.
Could be. I'm gonna blame Sarah.
All right.
The other thing on staffing is the condition offer of employment change, or actually for the contract. When we were reviewing it, we found that I think the Indiana code might have updated, so I've sent this off to the attorney. I think he's reviewing it, so we'll have that looked at by the town attorney. It really is minor. It doesn't really affect the contract itself. It's just about where they can live. So, and then the other staffing asking for a recommendation from you guys to the town council for moving forward with emergency hire.
Okay, we lost an officer, so,
He resigned.
he resigned. We, the safety board authorized the chief to advertise for an emergency hire. And how long was that?
2 weeks.
Okay, in 2 weeks, we only got
One
one response. Luckily, the response was a pretty good individual. So, we just interviewed him at 4 o'clock, and, everybody was, you know, I think that, he'll make a good officer. So, is there any, conversation or questions before we, go for a vote? Okay, I'd like to ask for, a nomination to, where's your little paper there?
Nicholas
Nicholas
Enyart?
Endert, okay. We'd like to send a favorable, recommendation to the town council for moving forward with the emergency hire. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
David Villalobos,
I'll second it.
Charlie Caper, second it.
Mr. Chairman,
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Chairman, hold on.
could that be conditional upon the offer being reviewed and the legal citation?
I just said we're sending a favorable recommendation to him.
I understand. Just want to make sure we have the right offer and the right citation to authority in the document. It doesn't change your actions.
Okay,
Dave, can you repeat that conditional upon what?
That it be conditioned upon a review of the legal citation to authority.
Okay.
It's in the body of the document, guys, that's why.
okay.
For the conditional offer you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
Roll call vote, please.
Josh Gilbert,
Yes.
Jim Olthoff,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes, ma'am.
Norm Stick.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carried.
Thank you guys very much.
Other staffing updates, Dee?
I don't think we have anything.
Okay, we'll move on to 7, training reports.
You guys got a copy of the current training report, for the month of February. Myself and, Deputy Chief Brittingham went to Indianapolis for a Public Information Officers Workshop with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. It was pretty good, actually. Had some pretty good information. It's for putting and being connected with the media and the public on serious incidents, so that we have a better, understanding of the best way to do it. We had some training for Doximeter and Ivory Tower. We had, some SWAT training with, drones as well up in Gary. Again, myself, Deputy Chief Brittingham, and, Commander Kidd went to the post-traumatic, purpose seminar at the MAC Center. And as I told you before, probably one of the best seminars that I've ever sat and listened to on PTSD for law enforcement and firefighters, and the things that they have to deal with that most of us probably didn't even think about was happening, because it happens on such a slow pace. So because of that, that's the other reason that we're pushing really hard for this wellness program and this employee assistance program, to ensure that officers and firefighters have the ability to get the help that they need when they need it, even if it is quiet and off the books. Okay. We sent an officer to FTO school, and we sent our newest officer, Unit 60, which is Sabrina Stolars, to pre-basic training, and she is currently certified and working the road and field training right
How's
now.
she working out?
She's doing okay. She's very, very excited.
Good.
Very excited. She gets excited, she's like, oh, we made a traffic stop today. You're gonna make a lot of those.
Who did you send to FTO school?
Actually, our training coordinator, Officer Meyer, because he was never certified yet, so.
I have a question. How did your active shooter training scenario go?
It was rather interesting. It was really nice. So at the town of St. John, in connection with actually, believe it or not, it was the county SWAT team did an actual active shooter scenario training with children in the school. And it was, they had many meetings on it. They had parents in there, specific things that parents didn't want, so they made sure that wasn't involved. and it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. We needed more personnel. It was set up very well. Communication was very good, but it was the first stage in us getting better at incident command that the fire department uses. Incident command that we failed to use at the Lake Central incident, that we're trying to adapt to fire department. I'm not gonna say it. So, some of the ways the fire department does things.
Are you just saying, just say the right way, that's all you
I'm gonna say the fire department way, but incident command, we're trying to teach ourselves to use incident command.
So being neutral here, Todd, you forgot to tell him or advise him that all the policemen didn't really know how to park when they arrived on the scene.
No, there's no forgetting, he's right, they did. Our job is
I just watched him keep.
funnel in, and then we pack it all in, right, Dave? Every time.
Just,
Get your car out of the way.
just so you know, the incident command system came out of the fire service.
I know it.
They're sharing it with you guys.
I can promise you this, that Chief Wilkening has expressed that to me many occasions. You're not doing it right. We've been on scene before. You're not doing it right. That's not incident command. I know.
You know, it's funny that we even talk about it, but it's been around so long. You know, law enforcement for so many, all the time, are usually working by themselves, or they don't have, you know, 10 or 15 units responding to an incident. They have themselves or one or two. We have to go out there and be organized every single time. We're bringing chaos to the actual scene ourselves. So, in order for the scene to go away or be fixed or to be rectified, we have to have it organized. And law enforcement has done a way better job over the years working in a unified setting. But with our current schools and what we're doing right now, we have a unique situation. Our two top police guys understand that, you know, you may be working out of a command post that's managed by the fire department for a short period of time until they can free somebody up to take the incident over, and that's what we do good. We're good at setting up that system, and it can be used by everybody. So I commend the police to try to change the culture a little bit so that, you know, it works out better for them. Now, what we ask in return is that the cops let us carry guns. And for some reason, we're not getting too far with that, and I'd like to make an official complaint to somebody. I don't know who that should be, but.
We actually had another training today with the Red Cedar School. They did a very, very, very small mock reunification drill with the students, so we were involved in that with them today. They had about 68 students of parents that allowed them to be involved in this reunification. They called it a mock gas leak at the school, utilizing the Crisis Go app that they use, and reunifying children with their parents. So it was very eye-opening for these staffers that have never seen it before, and in a very methodical, slow way, so they can see how it's going to function. Although, if a real mass incident happens, the chaos is insane, but they can actually know how it functions. So, Michael Dowdell did a really good job, the Director of Security, today, and we had that, and then tomorrow, Chief Todd and I are meeting with him one last time to go over our strata site locations for when we have an emergency response, where we'll be at. So
We've been working on this for a while with the school, and it's a computer program that helps us manage an incident.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really nice. And Chief Monger, Chief Fisher, and Carl, and other police staff people, all our kids was there. You know, we've had basically a lot of fun working with this, because it walks you through it to the point where you're able to manage incidents and have a lot of things predetermined for you that now we can share with our mutual aid companies coming in, either law enforcement or fire, that, hey, if it's at this school, this is what we're gonna do. It's a plan that we're not gonna let people see, or that people don't need to know, simply because, you know, we don't wanna be training the shooter.
but it's actually on the officer's laptop as they're approaching, any officer. Or their phone. So incoming units from other communities will be able to pull up that map site and say, okay, here's where I have to respond.
And the route they should come in.
Yeah.
So that way they're not coming into a hot situation if it's here, and that they should come from another location. So it's pretty nice.
Sounds great. Okay, thank you. Number 8, equipment.
That's okay, sir. We had quite a bit of equipment repairs. I'm assuming that's what it's for, correct, Sarah?
Correct.
We've had quite a few equipment repairs this month, quite a few vehicles that have broken down. You guys got a complete list of that, as well as some training stuff, and some annual service fees that we paid. But next month's even gonna be worse, because we had a bunch of cars break down this month, so.
Okay, number 9, monthly activity report.
Yeah, so you have your monthly activity report, if I can find it on my iPad here. Here we go. You have your monthly activity report that you've normally seen with the pies, correct? If you continue to scroll down, some of the things, and it was Mr. Villalobos that had requested this a while back. We were working on putting it together, but on top of the fact that we had 1,211 calls in the month, we're averaging 44.21 calls per day. We issued 164 state citations and 633 warnings in the month of February. We had 29 total arrests, 50 charges, 35 of them misdemeanor, 7 with felony, and 8 warrants, for a total of 58 arrests for the year and 97 total charges. But you can also now see some analysis done going all the way back to 2014 and the increases or decreases, if there happen to be, for each month. These analysis that you're going to receive each month through Spillman start with the traffic stops, warnings, then they will go up to cite. So traffic stops, warning, and citations, because those numbers could be just different. Law incidents, so incidents that we respond to.
It's calls for service, law incidents?
Calls for service, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep. Arrest analysis, how many arrests we make. Arrest offenses, analysis. And then below, and then below that is your normal town ordinances that you see that come from our code enforcement, as well as our officers. So those citations and warnings that have been issued for the month. So that's something you're going to now receive on your packets every month, as well as the town council. They got their first look at it yesterday.
And that helps us determine the increase or decrease in
Yes,
the
sir.
demands on your department.
Yes, sir.
So you put that in perspective then, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that.
It was Cliff, he's the computer guy, but he finally got a nice printed program that could come out on a continuous annual or a monthly basis for you, so that it's not something we have to click a bunch of buttons, it's doing on its own, so.
Very good, thank you
Yep.
for that.
Any other questions on that before we move on? Okay, then the next one's number 10, electrical.
All right, you ready to go? Here we go. All right, so, start off. I've tried to make this a little better.
Before you start.
Yes, sir.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Has the committee reviewed all of this?
Yes, sir.
I was talking to them, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me. I apologize.
Hours. Hours and hours. In the last, on that one there, we've spent 6 hours.
That wasn't the reason for my inquiry.
You said
It's
you
been
were
vetted
review
off.
it. Didn't you say that?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you say, did you review it?
I said, did the committee review it? Yes.
Yes.
That was the question. It wasn't how long, it wasn't how many years.
Well, I have to tell you how long we did it.
I know you're gonna do the work.
6 hours. We reviewed that.
You're gonna get it.
You know, you don't wanna hear how long we've been at the fire department.
I heard that it could go on for a while, but that's what I heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, continue.
All right. The first policy was policy 300, use of force. This was particular on page 6, that we rejected a few things, particularly, they keep wanting us to change it to peace officer versus police officer. But you're going to find that in these policy updates, the majority of these updates are related to what we call a CED, conducted energy device, or in other words, the taser. So they have recommended the change of the wording. We used to call them CEWs, conductive electrical weapons, and they wanted to change to a device. So that's what a lot of these are going to be. So within that use of force, We just changed it from a CEW to a CED. So from this point forward, when we're talking about the policy, if you hear CED, that's all it was, we changed it to that. And then in letter J, we rejected that, specifically, because they keep wanting to put him or herself and peace officer, and we want it to say, themselves, as well as letter J, which is on page 8. It says the chief of police will be notified as soon as practical when the incident involves serious bodily injury. They wanted us to remove that. We're not removing that. They're required to call me. Next one, conductive energy device, formerly called the CEW. There's many changes in there, specifically grammar updates throughout the entire policy. The entire document changed the acronym CEW to CED. On policy 304.3, removed some of the requirements, but they were added elsewhere within the policy. So it took some of the requirements out, but it took them and put them somewhere else within the policy. 304.5, we cleaned up some of the use of CED. 304.5.2, cleaned up some of the words, further defined the drive stun mode. 304.5.3, corrected some of the targeting areas, especially related to a suspect that is moving during deployment. It still has the same recommendations, but also understands that a suspect could be moving when you're targeting. 305.4, updated the application and the assessing, including the TASER 10. Now, we don't have TASER 10, but we left it in there because that specific TASER is a single probe deployment at one time. Should we ever get that, there was no reason to remove it unless we, absolutely know we're never going to get it. So we accepted that. 304.5.5 referred to the old confetti tags that used to be deployed when you deployed a TASER. These confetti would come out, and each one of those aphids would have the serial number of the TASER. They don't have those anymore, so that's being removed. 304.5.7, first line where officer rejecting, or I can't even read my own writing here. First line where officers can carry off duty. There we go. So that first line where it asks, or it says that officers are not allowed to carry off duty, we're removing that because many of our officers work in the schools, which is considered an off-duty employment. We don't want them to not have the ability to have their TASER with them. 304.6 is documentations. We added the video body camera language to it. 304.6.1 changed to the CED again, but our reporting is through Spillman. The old TASER used to have an actual report you had to fill out for TASER. They don't have that anymore. We changed some of the persons in charge, but mostly the CED instructors in charge versus the training coordinator, which they tried to do it. We have our CED instructors in charge of it versus the training coordinator, which is Sergeant Miller. The supervisor's responsibilities are all the same with the CED instructors' downloads, and training was updated to what we currently follow as well. That was the CED. On the firearms, only thing that was really fixed in here was practice or dry fire. You have to have a firearms instructor available. We all know what that's referencing. And then we are rejecting the update as there's one update that they wanted to change in the firearms, specifically on, let me find it real quick for you. I have it right there. Letter F, basically stipulate members shall not use any non-issued automatic firearms. They wanted us to remove non-issued.
What section are you on?
We are in section 306.5, letter F.
Okay.
Members shall not use any non-issued automatic firearms. They're asking us to remove the term non-issued. We are not. We're keeping that because we want them to only use any automatic weapons, which is one that we issue. So we're rejecting that. 408, which is personal recognizance bonds. They wanted us to completely change the terminology of the PR bond, but that is still currently what we call them with the prosecutor's office. So we're rejecting that, but we're also adding what they're calling them now, which is summons and release. This is due to some legislature. It's been updated downstate. So this policy will be called personal recognizance bonds within parentheses, summons and release, specifically because that terminology is used throughout the policy quite frequently.
All right, Chief, you skipped 310 there.
Did not, we're gonna get to that one at the end.
Okay, very good, sorry.
Yep.
408, all right.
So 408, big changes, or actually not really big changes, but 408.4, it talks about prohibitions and when you can and cannot release a subject on a personal recognizance bond. We're gonna remove letter B, which is, says the person is arrested for a motor vehicle misdemeanor. We have misdemeanor offenses that our prosecutor's office or our jail will not take right now sometimes because they may have an increase in COVID, or they want you to release on scene. We've literally received letters from judges that say this, that they will not do it, or they may have a full jail or something like that. So we are taking that out of there because a suspended prior is a misdemeanor offense, but we could release that on a PR bond. Unfortunately, the rest of the state actually writes a suspended prior misdemeanor offense on a citation alone and cuts them loose on scene. We will bring them back to the station and cut them loose on a personal recognizance bond. The one thing they do want to keep changing is that they want to use the term accident. We don't call them accidents, we call them crashes. Fixing that. And we're moving it, says that refuses to get charged with driving while the person's licenses are suspended or revoked. Indiana doesn't have a revocation suspension, they have a suspended prior or suspended misdemeanor. And so we're removing that because we can release a PR on a suspended prior. It's what we call it long forming them. We're going to send the charges to the prosecutor's office to cut them loose. 424, First Amendment assemblies. This really was I don't remember there being too many fixes on this. I did go with went over every of the general considerations and I looked over every single IC code to ensure that they were accurate within there, and they all are completely accurate. And I think, I just don't understand why this happens sometimes, but it scratches a word out and then puts it right next to it. It's the same exact word. So this also had the CED update within it. Okay. Then we had the towing policy that was needed to be updated in 502. There are some content rewording. We're keeping 502.7 with the exception because the shift supervisor is required to ensure that everything's documented accurately. We don't have a records section number that they wanted us to change it to. So we put it on the shift supervisor. Then I had some other little things that were updated as well. And we're on. The one thing that we did remove also is at the end of 502.9, says a copy of vehicle inventory will be given to the tow truck operator. We do not and never have give a vehicle inventory to the tow truck operators. 706, unmanned aerial. This was a very basic update of just us ensuring that we follow the guidelines of the FAA, which we do strictly follow the guidelines of the FAA. That's all it was related to, was those specific things. 1132, discipline and termination. Get to that real quick. 1132, this policy had a few grammar errors that were found by Mr. Villalobos that we updated and corrected. They really were, one was actually a word that just got cut off by accident, and it was just, it was one word, I think, wasn't it, Sarah, that we mistyped on another word that made the sentence not sound correct. And Mr. Villalobos found it in his review, so we corrected that. Policy number 1127, 1121, 1104, and 801. Those all removed the terminology of collective bargaining, which was recommended by the town attorney, or town manager, and had a few general neutrality terms that were changed. And then the last one that Mr. Villalobos talked about is policy 310, and that is the brand new canine policy. And that's it. I did pretty good this time, didn't I?
Did.
I will say this, and I'm a man enough to admit when when I'm wrong sometimes, but I didn't like the idea that our town attorney had of having this review board and all that stuff, but I think it's actually worked out really well.
Which,
We get to answer a lot of questions that you guys have pretty quickly. I know. It was, it's all right.
I told him before to his face, but the town attorney recommended that we form subcommittees to, because like I said, we've got 2 different times that we spent 3 hours, so you can't do that in a meeting like this. So David and I are on our police department, so we actually know that word for word, Sarah, and, so.
Yeah, it works out really well.
So, gentlemen, we did agree with what Chief is saying, so is there any questions on that? Okay, so, I'd like to, make a motion, to, accept, the Lexipol changes and additions.
So moved.
Okay, Charlie so moved, and, Jim Altoff seconded.
Do we have to enumerate which policy numbers?
I can if you'd like, sir,
Or as
You
presented.
like?
or as presented.
Or as presented.
As presented, good enough, as
I
presented.
concur to as presented.
So is everything fine?
Me.
Roll call vote?
Josh Gilbert,
Yes.
Jim Olthoff,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes, ma'am.
Norman Stick.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is an SOP item, may I ask a question?
Sure.
We recently, and I've been in touch over the past 6 or 8 months with Chief Fisher on this, we've recently not only acquired, but we're debugging the body camera equipment, and the officers are using that equipment. And it dawned on me as I was looking at this stack of SOPs that I didn't know if we had already gotten to a body camera SOP that was incorporated into our code of procedures.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We actually send it to your office by email.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question.
We can resend it to you if you'd like.
Would you please?
Yeah.
It's important equipment.
Yeah, whenever we get a policy update that we send to them, we send it to your office to make sure you have them as well, so.
We send it 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
Well, and as you can see, it's,
It's a lot.
I
It's
think
a lot,
it's-
yeah. It happens,
It's okay.
it happens pretty frequently.
It's a big problem.
I think that was one of the ones we all agreed that we needed to send to the attorney's office.
Well, we send them anyways. We
Right,
send all of them
I
to
mean,
them.
we,
Yeah.
some of them are like, they're, Lexipol recommended, or, it's like what the chief was going through, that some of the stuff that he's very familiar with, but then the body camera things we felt.
Yeah, it was new.
Pardon?
It was new.
Yes, so that's why,
Yeah.
we talked about, making sure that you got it.
Yes, sir.
But we passed it, but if there's anything that you would like added or changed, why, but we wanted to get something because they're using their cameras now.
absolutely. And that was my recommendation to you also.
Mhm.
Yes,
There's specific statutes in it about the laws of turning it off, and it reflects immediately of that you can be charged with criminal offenses, and it talks about all of that, so.
For our officer protection.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll
uh,
look for it.
We'll send it to you again.
number 11, other,
I'm just gonna say this quickly. We're looking into a new program that could be more beneficial to our community called Too Good for Drugs, versus the DARE program that's currently being taught. It's almost nearly identical to the DARE program, but it can be updated, and the kids are required to take some things with it, but we're getting some backlash from some of the schools, so I'm not sure it's gonna happen yet. The downside is to it is that this Geminis will actually pay us to teach it, versus us trying to get funding all the time. So, I'm gonna have some meetings with Crown Point to see if they're interested, as well as Hanover Community Schools. They have an MOU that they want us to, to sign that we're gonna teach the class, but we're not gonna present it yet, because I gotta meet with the administrations to see if they're gonna be okay with it, so. I don't know is that the best way to put it, you think?
So basically, you don't wanna.
We just put it in your packet so you could see it and you have knowledge of it, but I got some issues on the Crown Point side, because their school is teaching identical throughout the schools, and one of the things, all the other Crown Point schools is the DARE program. So they're concerned that us changing it at MacArthur, because there's only one school in Cedar Lake, wouldn't be identical to what every other kid's getting. So, honestly, my goal is to hope to maybe get Crown Point to move to this program as well. It's really interesting, it's really nice.
Evidence-based.
It's evidence-based, correct. So, we just wanted you to actually see it. I'm not gonna go into the MOU because it's not something we can do right now until we get it to the schools to be on board with it, so.
Okay.
And you want this tabled or taken off the agenda?
Just table it for now. I'm gonna try to meet with them for next month and hopefully get something in front of you, but I can't guarantee it, so.
We have to make a motion to table. Okay, we'll just.
Thank you, sorry about that. Sorry about that, sorry.
Okay, fire department? Communications?
I'd like to start out with a statement about the police department taking so long during these meetings. I think that what we should do is we should use Pastor Ted's chili cook-off to determine who wins, gets to go first in these meetings for a whole
That's
year.
a challenge.
What do you think? And then
Sounds
Sarah
good to
flips
me.
it up to whoever wins, then we get to go first. I think that's a only fair way to do it.
Do I have to pay $1 poll?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's, you know, it is what it is. Because he knows we'll cheat,
Yeah,
we'll win.
Well, what's the poll?
Listen, we played them in softball 2 years. They couldn't beat us.
What's the proposal for it? So,
Under communications, Mr. Chairman, I only have one thing, was our ceremony for our fallen firefighter that we had at the fire station was very well turned out by the public and town officials. I really appreciate everybody coming, it was very nice. They presented the family with the flag with firefighter Timothy White's name on it. There was a nice ceremony, and we now proudly hang it in our training room where we can all see it. Also, we dedicated a truck to him, and we have a decal on the truck with his name on it now. So, meant a lot to our guys after all these years of trying to do something every single year, to finally do something that the family can really still be proud of. So, I want to make sure we keep in the habit of doing that stuff in the future. God forbid we ever lose another firefighter. That's all I have in communications, sir.
page 13, please.
Okay, finances, as you can see, as far as the fire department purchase orders, I have a question for the commission in the future. Our equipment for our ambulances, the cots, the auto loaders, and the defibrillators, monitors, all have to be serviced every year, and the price has gone up ridiculously high. So we were offered a 3-year package at $21,000 to do the service on all of them, at $7,000 a year. If we were to lock into that, it would be $7,000 a year to do that. The clerk treasurer's office does not want to do that because she doesn't want to lock into a 3-year deal. So we are going to pay $7,000 this year, and there'll be a price increase next year based upon whatever the market at the time is. So just to let you know, that $7,000 that you see this year is just for the cots. We also have another $7,000 maintenance program yearly for the monitor devices, which is the defibrillators that has the heart monitor, the same heart monitor system you see in the hospitals. Those have to be calibrated and tested and gone through every single year as well. That's going to cost us an additional $7,000 a year. So basically, before, we were able to get all that stuff done for about $7,000 a year. Now it's $14,000 a year in cost increases to recertify all that equipment, which means the power cots that lift you up and down, that they put you in the, and then the loaders that pull you into the actual ambulance, and then also the, like I said, the monitors will be serviced, so.
Is there only one vendor that does that? Can you shop around? I mean,
Stryker is it, that's the manufacturer. Yep.
So they're a captive market,
They got the market, yep.
like Motorola.
There's different, actual technicians, but they all charge the same through the company. The Scott Air Pack functional tests, we had all of our air packs flow tested, just recently, which remarkably was only a cost of $830 that you see in your purchase order. That is an annual, test that has to be done so that we make sure our air baths are flowing properly at the right rate, the right pressure, the right, dynamics of the whole thing, so. Under that same line item number 13, grants, I completed the SAFER grant application. It's been turned in. It was turned in 2 weeks ago for 3 full-time employees. I had a discussion with the town manager. The town manager told me to put in for 3. I didn't hear back from the council on how many we could put in. I wanted to put in for 6, but he felt because of the financial state of the town that 3 would be a better option moving forward. So we again applied for 3 full-time firefighters through the SAFER grant, which we should hear sometime in September whether or not we retrieved it, or we got it. Last year, Officer Machock helped us do the first one. With his help last year, it helped us set the base for what we do moving forward. I did this one myself. He didn't need to help us because all the hard work was already done from the last year, and basically putting this grant together was just updating a lot of numbers. And there was a couple additional narratives that had to be done, but Doug is also the actual facilitator for the town's federal FEMA grant, so he had to do a little bit of submission for us, but that was it. And I appreciate him helping us. Another grant, any other grants, Chief Meyer's working on a couple grants for equipment, and we recently received a grant for a power fan, a electric battery-operated ventilation fan for ventilating buildings and houses and structures during fires. We've always had the old gas-operated fans, and with the gas-operated fans, you're literally pumping carbon monoxide into the building while you're venting it, but this allows us to not have to worry about that. So that particular grant was for $5,000. Chief Monger wrote that grant, did a good job, and he does a lot of little grants that end up being $10,000, $15,000, $12,000, $11,000, but all those add up to big time money and big time stuff, and he's really good at it, and takes a lot of pressure off the department when it comes to
So who is this grant
things we
from
need to do.
for the fan?
It was from the Trans-Canadian TC Railroad pipeline. I'm sorry, not the railroad, pipeline. We have one other one with the railroad.
Did you acknowledge them? I'm sure.
Yeah, we said thanks.
Great.
Yeah. No, we're getting them a letter, everything together, and then I'm gonna ask the commission to sign off on it, and maybe if Norm could sign it, that'd be great. Sarah, would you mind putting it, is that gonna be in the minutes? Okay, thank you, so I don't forget.
Okay, 14,
Staffing, currently, we are short a person, and we have one person going through perf right now, but we are working him in a part-time capacity in a full-time spot, so that we are not that crew isn't hurting for one person, which has created some overtime and is going to create overtime while we wait on the perf process. This is the firefighter EMT that I wanted to put through the process last year, but we were told we could not until Pat actually was off the books. And I wanted to get him through the whole process of having him ready, but now we have to wait until he goes through the whole process has gone through, and, unfortunately, it's hitting our overtime again. So hopefully we'll have him back. There was some hiccups with some of his, tests that he had done. He had to get one redone because he didn't get back there in time, and there were some issues, and we have that all rectified, and we're waiting for his packet to come back. Otherwise, volunteers, we have 3 new applicants for volunteers, and we have 2 new applicants for part-time. We're gonna start doing our in-house, interviews, and once we get through our in-house interviews, we'll be bringing them to you to interview and go through the process with them. As far as the part-timers are concerned, the volunteers, I typically take care of all of it, but then send them to you for your interview as well. So that's gonna be taking place here in the next couple weeks. We'll be interviewing everybody. Which was really surprising to see that 2 of them were right out of high school, and we've been kind of beating on some doors at the high school because the high school kids in the EMT class there that's sponsored by St. Anthony's are doing all their precepting in our fire department. So we get them there, we get them in a headlock, we direct them and tell them, hey, we want you to be part of our department, and they get a first-hand look at, what we're doing, and for an 18-year-old, some of them are very amazed, but some of them are pretty seasoned already at seeing some things in their lives, which surprises us, and they're very, very, very pumped up about getting involved. Or we have some of them that just want to move on to a nursing program or whatever, and just are doing this to get their feet wet, which is fine too. But they get some real life experience, and they get to do it in their hometown.
Actually, that young lady that was there yesterday wants to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And she was so excited, or she was disappointed that there wasn't any more ambulance runs before we left. But yeah, she was an impressive young lady. Yeah,
it's kind of refreshing to see some of these kids that are motivated to get into the service, because our service is like law enforcement. We're hurting for people too, where people are, they don't want to get into the field. So it was fun to see, and also tough to some of them kids. And I typically sit down and actually have a conversation with them as well.
Training, 15.
Under training, you see our training hours. Once again, Cliff is it Cliff that changed these up a little bit? No, Nick changed these up a little bit as far as the pie graph's concerned. As you guys can see, we do a lot of training. A lot of training every year is done off-site. Since we've redone our training room in the back and have gotten a lot of the visual aids, we've been able to cut down on a lot of training away from the station, and are actually hosting trainings for other departments and having other people come in and do trainings in-house for us as well. Some of the paramedic classes that are required, because paramedics have to have over 60 hours of continuing education in just a couple fields a year, not to mention another 120 hours of others. And we have to pay them to go to those trainings on their off days, because they're not always on their work days. But now we can do it in-house, and a lot of it, and it does help us. So, as you can see how many hours and how much percentage-wise training we're doing even more training this year than last. We started a brand new program for the department through the Lexipol policy, through the Lexipol program. It has a fire training program attached to it, which we purchased for the department to do some online training, which would be book work, which is supplemented by hands-on training at a little later time. So it's working out really good now. At first it was a lot, but people are really buying into it, and we're seeing a lot more enhanced training. I also have 5 people that are in an advanced driver, engineer training program, that have been in a class for 6 months with our folks and our instructor, which is going really well, so.
I don't see anything here about the dive team, what's going on with that?
The dive team training is, they're training twice a month now, and they're also training with their district folks. And they were putting on ice rescue training throughout the winter, and also training other departments. So Tony has been a lead in the county, in him and a couple other lead trainers for the dive team, and doing other departments as well as ours. And sometimes you'll see down at Pinecrest, you'll see, last year we had Griffith down here. We had a lot of different departments doing ice training with us. But they'll be ready here. They're doing some dive training. We just had 2 people go through certification, get certified. I have 3 more to send, which will end up, our goal is to have 15 certified divers, and we're right around 9 right now, I think. But we do have a good mix of full-timers and volunteers and some part-timers that are on the dive team now.
Yeah, the season's coming up, so.
And the season's coming up. The lake is gonna be a mess, guys, this year with the dredging process. The pipes that are out there at council meeting, there was people last night talking about concerns about the lake. It's gonna be a little crazy out there this year because of the obstacles that'll be out there. So we will be spending more time on the lake this year, probably than we have ever. And that'll continue for the next, I think the project is 5 years long, so 3 to 5 years, so our lake gets crazy, it really does, and so our dive team and our dive marine guys, they're really dedicated to the marine side of it, so. I someday look to see that the marine division of the fire department be its own division, and those guys just do the marine part of it, because the toll of doing all the training and that on top of it, it gets difficult, so. And that might be something that someday that even the police would, officers would like to get involved in again too, if it was just a separate organization run through our department, so it's always something there. And that's the training report.
Okay, equipment, 16.
Currently, our ladder truck is at fire service. It's been up there on and off for a month. It's got a gremlin running around through it. We're having a problem with the outriggers. The outriggers are doing their own thing. So we have had numerous hours put into that truck to try to find out what's going on with it. They have found modulars, connectors, that were bad on it. We thought we had it fixed twice. And we were just getting ready to bring it back, and it acted up again. So they think they've got it narrowed down to an issue. While it's up there, it's gonna get serviced, the actual cables will be serviced and tightened up and some things done to the truck to keep it in service. So I'll keep you guys posted on when it gets back into town. I don't like to see that thing out of our fire station. It's kind of my baby. And Nick gets really grumpy when the ladder truck's not in town. It's hard to deal with. Our third ambulance is in need of a lot of repair. I'm currently looking at a possible used ambulance to get us through until we can get another new ambulance. We really need to get us another ambulance in the pipe. They're 24 to 36 months out before you can get it. So right now, if we ordered one today, it'd be 36 months before we get it. And there are a couple really nice used ambulances within the region that are becoming available that we might be able to latch onto one of those for a very good cost to get us through the 3 years, because our number 3 ambulance out the door is in really bad shape, and it's not reliable as it needs to be, because it's failed on us a few times. And our second oldest ambulance is a 2013 already, and it's starting to show its age, we're having problems with it as well, it's nickel diming us, so to get an ambulance in the pipe is gonna be a huge priority very, very soon. I've had discussions with the town manager, so hopefully he'll be able to get something, rolling in that direction for us.
What would it cost for a new ambulance?
$325,000 to assist her to the one we bought in 2019, wait, 21, I'm sorry, yeah. Yeah, our brand new ambulance is already 2 years old, it's got 27,000 miles on it already. Yeah, $320,000 for a custom ambulance. Our second ambulance out, the one I was talking about, is a demo ambulance, and we had problems with it from day one, so we really, buying demo ambulances, which there's not very many of them even out there now, because they're so hard to get, people are sucking them up right away. It's not the best thing to do for your community, because a custom ambulance lasts a lot longer. We recently took a trip to Columbus, Ohio. Our truck committee of chiefs went and did the final, construction build on our new fire truck. We were out there for a day and a half and, toured the factory and finalized everything on the truck, so it's going into production. And we're looking about a year from now, possibly getting it. So from the time we ordered it and went through all the paperwork and everything, it's 16 months. Hopefully by Christmas next year, we'll have it in service, I'm hoping. Now they're reporting to us that they're 24 to 36 months out on trucks. The company that we're buying the truck from is a very large fire equipment company, and they're to the point now where they're not even thinking about taking some orders for a while, just because they gotta get caught up. Another suggestion for the community is to put another fire engine in the pipe. I know they're $1 million or $800,000, but by the time we get them, the trucks that we currently have are deteriorating at a fast rate because our call volume is up. And we're band-aiding fire trucks really bad to keep them in service. And I mentioned this to Chris as well. Chris was very receptive on exploring options and opportunities to get possibly another ambulance and another fire truck in the pipe, so that we could receive one in a year and a half and then be looking at a year and a half to 2 years after that, getting another one and replacing a 30-year-old fire truck and a 26-year-old fire truck. So that's what we're working on right now. Hopefully we'll have some sort of proposal or somewhat plan. Also, we are in the market for a new chief's vehicle. 2 of them, one for Chief Monger and myself. What we plan on doing is putting both of those vehicles, our current vehicles, in our system to be used for other things, and us to receive 2 new vehicles. There's 1 vehicle in the sustainability plan for next year, but I'm gonna ask for 2 because we desperately need them. That's the equipment.
Okay, 17 monthly activity.
Okay, the monthly activity report, 125 calls for the month. And then you can see by the area, 75% of them were in the town of Cedar Lake, to where 18% of them were out in the township, and then another 7% of them were mutual aid calls. And a breakdown, as you can see, days of the week, incidents, time of day. It's this is a really nice program, so we can actually track. We also have it set up to where we can track locations, to where there's a dot system that you can see where our calls are heavy and where our calls are lighter. And pretty much the east side of Cedar Lake is about 40% of our calls, and the west side, about 37%. The west side is about 50%, and then the township is another 13% on top of that. Somewhere around there.
So what I'm looking at here, it says 28 times you had 2 incidences running at the same time?
Yes. Overlapping calls.
And, the one here, you had 4 incidents running at the same time?
Yep,
Holy cow.
with, staffing of 4 people, full-time, and supplementing them with volunteers that were coming in for calls, yep.
And how do you handle that, 4 incidents at the same time? According to this, that happened on 4 occasions, that one reading?
Sometimes we don't. We have to mutual aid the calls, but we all split up and go do our thing. Typically, if you have 4 incidents, it's probably 4 ambulance calls. And then the town is not covered for calls until, mutual aid comes in, or we call mutual aid for help. This is our single biggest nightmare, for staffing our department. That's why we need more people, is if you look at it, 23% of the time, which is a quarter of the time, we're emptying out our station for calls with,
I'm sorry.
you're looking at 75 or 23% of the time, opportunity for that third call to come in without a response from our department. Now, this number has drastically gone up over the years, because typically we were always one call, and once they cleared and everything was good, then 45 minutes, hour later, would another call come in. Because typically now, or ambulance calls take about an hour and a half. From the time we go, pick the patient up, take them to the hospital. Well, now, St. Anthony's decides to build their hospital farther from us, which you guys know where the new hospital is. It's off I-65, which is gonna put our turnaround time around 2 hours for an ambulance call. So for every single ambulance call, that ambulance will be out of service for 2 hours. And it's pretty much the same time period to go to Dyer. And we do transport to Methodist in Maryville at times. We don't very often transport to Munster, but we'll on a very crazy occasion if we have to. Like if the police officers get somebody that has to be put in the psych ward, we have to take them to Dyer, because that's the psych ward. So, it's just, that takes us out of time, out of service for hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And this is happening more. Hence the reason why I'm constantly pushing for more full-time people, because we're growing. The community's growing, the calls are growing, the time periods are longer. The protocols through the hospital, on-scene times are longer because of the protocols. There's certain things we have to do at the scene before we leave. So there's always a risk of having that next call and not having the staffing. Chief Monger and I, during the day, we take calls, but at night, we try to take some time off, but we both respond at night as well. And we both respond on the weekend. We had structure fire Saturday morning. We were both out on the call with the department. And it's because we need the personnel, we need the help. We reschedule our life on the off time based upon the availability of one of us to be available for this community. And it's a couple of our volunteer chiefs that also help cover on the weekends. They take a squad home. And we do the best we can with it, but it's a challenge. Especially, and it's gonna be even worse when we open the second station. We need to have personnel. It's nothing new. We've been growing, and I've been beating the same dead horse for years. And I understand there's only so much money in the pot and only so much in the budget to be able to do it, but biting the bullet is a hard thing to do. Any other questions? Dave?
Good. It's just, a lot. It's just, I'm watching you, you're doing a lot.
Yeah, the ambulance doesn't stop. People tell me all the time. Dickie Henn stopped in one day and says, could you guys not blow the siren every time you go out the door? He goes, you're driving me crazy over here, because you guys are going out all the time, And he's just kidding with me, but he's like, man, you guys are busy. You just are busy, so.
Okay, the dreaded Lexipol report.
I can definitely do this very quickly for you, because unlike Chief Fisher's report, he had a lot of details in his, and ours isn't, because, the request to change everything to take everything out of the reports, or I'm sorry, the, policies that have the word collective bargaining agreement in it, is based upon a recommendation from the town manager. So, the policies that you see in front of you, the 20, I think it's 20 or 22 of them, except for 1026, which is the drug and alcohol workplace policy that we currently are working with the police department and Dave's office on updating and getting together, which has been taking some time because we've been adding things and really vetting that thing closely. That one is still in legal review and also reviewed by our department as well, because we're gonna be adding more stuff to it. And with the wellness stuff that's going on, between the two departments, this is gonna be a document that's gonna take a while before it's complete, so. The other ones, 100, 103, Fire Service Authority, Policy Manual, Organizational Structure, Interim Directives, Minimum Staffing Levels, Line of Duty, Death, Serious Injury, use of department-owned personal property, personal communication devices, recruitment and selection, promotions and transfers, education incentives, emergency recall, overtime, grievances, workplace violence, temporary modification duties, assignments, anti-retaliation, military leave, and sick leave. All those policies are nothing but a change in eliminating the word collective bargaining. In which I had meetings with Commissioners Altoff and Stick at the station to discuss those, amongst a lot of other things we've been doing together. And, again, mirroring what Bill has said about the time spending with, the commissioners and going through this, it's been refreshing, because what amazes me is how much our commission is getting involved in being, hands-on with us. And it is nice. We got really good support, and having you guys there is, really working out well. And, it's nice to sit there and have somebody just say, hey, yeah, you know what? And it's, for the most part, a non-experienced person and then an experienced person. You know, you guys are blessed to have Dave, we're blessed to have Jim being in the service. And then you have Norm that has never done either or, but at the top of the helm is asking all the good questions as well, so.
Yeah, but I know what engine is and apparatus.
He is, he's getting all the acronyms down.
And the training.
Right.
I know that by heart now.
He does.
So-
Norm's gonna be, a quasi chief on the department pretty soon, because, he's gonna be the terminology guy. But, so at the end of the day, I mean, this is working out real well, as far as reviewing everything.
So, any questions? Can, I have a motion to accept the changes in policy updates as far as Alexipol?
As presented.
Pardon?
As presented.
As presented, thank you. Everybody's tongue tied? Okay, Jim Altoff made the motion.
I'll second it.
David Villalobos seconded it. Roll call vote, please.
Josh Garbert,
Yes.
Jim Oltoff,
Yes.
David Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper,
Yes, ma'am.
Norm Stick.
Yes. Okay,
Thank you. I have one thing to add to that, and I'd like to thank Sarah for setting up, helping Sandy set the format up, like, the police have, to make it easier to display this and also talk about it, so thank you, Sarah, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I think it's, David, at this point in time, I think it would be a good time to interject, this, so we can amend the agenda.
Amend the agenda?
Thank you, what would be a proper way to, identify this?
Which
The document that Chris sent me as far as,
Personnel.
protein,
Personnel.
personnel?
Personnel.
Okay. Pardon me?
Fire or police?
Both of us.
For both of us.
Basically, I'll read this to you real quick. This was when we had our conversation today, over the phone, this came into view and, with the recommendations of the attorney, as far as we should recommend this to the town council. This is in reference to Pro Team Tactical Performance. Dear board members, please let this letter serve as a recommendation that the police department and the fire department use Pro Team Tactical Performance in lieu of Working Well going forward for any services they provide that are needed. Pro Team Tactical Services is a facility specifically designed for first responders. IPEP, what does that mean?
iPad?
Indiana Public Employees
Okay, thank you.
Program.
The group that handles workers' compensations for us. IPEP highly recommends that our first responders utilize the various services to them with therapy after injury, but also use them for assessments to make recommendations to lessen the impact of future injuries. IPEP has this on their website, and it just says, what does Pro Team offer for IPEP members when it comes to tactical professionals, including firefighters, police officers, military personnel, paramedics, and other. We need to do more. At Pro Team, we are committed to maximizing health and recovery after injuries, helping professionals meet the demands of their job and reducing the risk of repeating injuries so they're always prepared for the next mission. Elite athletic-based rehabilitation and physical therapy programs, technology-based assessments and injury prevention programs with their program. DARA Motion System is the world's only FDA-cleared markless solution for human motion and analysis that assesses human movement. With this specifically geared equipment, physicians and staff makes it sense to utilize them to reduce the town's costs and improve the recovery, health, and well-being of our first responders. And this was sent to us from the town manager, Chris. So, I need to have a motion to adjourn the amended.
To amend the agenda.
Amend, did I say that?
Yes.
Amend.
No, you said, yeah, there was a reference, but we'll make a motion
Please.
to amend the agenda for the purpose of a letter of personnel for both fire and police.
Can I interject one thing under question, please?
Yeah.
Just so that everybody knows, this does not replace the
No.
physical evaluations that we have to do through, unfortunately, at times through Working Well, because they're the only one who does it around here for us, so.
They're the only certified perf doctor.
Yeah.
That's gonna be evaluated.
Still the state's retirement for us. We'll go to another doctor if you want us to. It's just getting perf certified.
Yeah.
Correct.
They used to be in Hammond.
Well, there's,
Yeah.
we can go to Indiana.
Okay,
That's a long
Charlie
drive
has.
for
I know.
Make the motion to amend the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I have a second?
For the purpose of?
For the purpose of
Of a
police
defense
and
of
fire.
the town council to approve Pro Team.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have just roll
Roll call vote, please.
Wait a second. Seconded? Okay, thank you. Josh Gilbert,
Yes.
James Olthoff,
Yes.
David Villalobos,
Yes.
Norman Sticks,
Yes.
Charlie Caper.
Yes.
So we're gonna use your sheet.
Okay, now we
Okay,
have to
now-
ask for a motion to send a letter to the town council to a favorable recommendation for us to hire Pro Team.
Good motion. Good motion.
Pardon me?
That's a good motion.
You said a good motion?
I said that's a good motion.
Mhm.
Charlie just.
That's what I expect out of him.
Well,
We have to answer.
I can hear you.
Okay. You asked for the question.
Are there any questions on this before we move forward? I'm glad there's not.
Okay.
Can you repeat what you said?
So I have a motion from Charlie Caper to send favorable recommendation to the town council to approve protein.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, I make that motion.
Can I have a second, please?
Sure, some protein bars.
Jim Altoff, second it?
Okay.
All those in favor, no, roll call vote, please.
Josh Gilbert,
Yes.
Jim Olthoff,
Yes.
Dave Villalobos,
Yes.
Charlie Caper.
Yes.
Norm Stick.
Yes.
I'll get you that letter typed.
Okay.
Okay, now, David?
I'm still working on the MOU update, although I made some progress this week. It's not ready. The training reimbursement agreement, I need some information from Todd. As soon as I get it, that's done. And the fee schedule ordinance update that issue has been resolved with the adoption last night of an mandatory replacement ordinance to clean up the.
Yeah. It was just a lost in translation.
It's the wrong draft.
Yeah.
Is the best I can describe. Anyway, it's done. It'll be published and that'll be over with. So I did want to also report to you the collection of training reimbursement fees in the last month from both police department, former police department officers and fire department personnel. How much? About 12 grand was on the police side.
I know 7 from one, I don't remember the other one.
It's 4 or 5.
Okay.
Somewhere in that range. And Todd, we had one for you. Those funds were recovered under the reimbursement agreement. The lawsuits filed, they're dismissed, and they're done.
Where does that money go back to the general fund or?
Should.
Yep.
That's where it comes from when the gear and equipment and training is all being engaged in, I presume. So it's a pretty good month in that regard. There's a lot of discussion about those agreements. Here's how I explained it to the last person that objected to it. Reminded them that the person who came here, got their training, got their readiness, got themselves together, and then decided to leave and go, let's say to a neighboring town like St. John, and buy themselves a $15,000 raise. The $5,000 to $7,000 that go into the reimbursement paid for by, or training paid for by Cedar Lake taxpayers is more than covered. We may not be collecting enough, but that's another story. So that's the way I would hope you are looking at it also.
I'm gonna, as one of the things I'm gonna be working with Dave on is to request an amendment to that in case that person leaves and wants to come back and work for us part-time and be one of our volunteers, that he doesn't get the charge for the actual gear that he's gonna be using again. Him and I have differences on that, but, I think it needs to be closely looked at it by everybody as well. Because what happened to the guy that left, he signed the contract, and I understand the hard fist of the council saying that, you gotta pay it, but I didn't agree with it in any way, shape, or form, so.
Well, that's the business side of this, Todd.
Well, I would agree with Todd in that if he was gonna wear his own gear again, part-time and at the POC, and you have to supply him with gear to do that, he could have wore his own gear. That's the problem I have with that.
But there was nothing in writing. But I just thought the council could make a policy call and approve it, but it didn't happen, so I would just like to see it in writing in the future that we can make that decision under a certain circumstance, so.
Okay, David, was you through with your report?
I'm done.
Thank you. 21, who would like to do the new building?
We're having the groundbreaking ceremony on the 14th. Chief Wilkening and I have been on, numerous Zoom meetings.
Lots of meetings.
You're going down in, April, right around the 10th, right, wasn't it? Right around the 10th, we're going down to 2 locations that Veritas has set up for us to look at some, furniture. Probably take our deputy chiefs with us so that they can look at it. They just have some, what is it called?
Furniture?
No, they have the big.
Oh, display rooms?
Display
Yeah.
rooms, so they want us to come down, so we're gonna go down there and look at those. We had another good meeting today, so, I mean, it's moving, it's happening.
Do you know what time the groundbreaking is?
5 o'clock.
You did receive your official notification, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, you got an email from the town manager. It actually came from Margaret, didn't it? I think Margaret sent it out,
Yeah, she said
Yeah.
formal invite.
the formal invite.
22, emergency operations plan update.
That is completed. Sarah's requested to have one last meeting to review it before we send it to Dave Austin for review, to get in front of the council in the next month, but it's completed.
Good.
Yeah, took us a long time, took a lot of organizing the close to 200 pages, and but we'll have an emergency operations plan for the town of Cedar Lake.
Sarah had to herd cats, is what she had to do basically, to get it done.
That is a living document also.
It very well much is,
It's gonna
yes.
change every year.
She did such a good job of facilitating that whole thing and making it so easy for us to make the decisions on the stuff. But that'll be a plan it'll stay close to
Yeah, it won't be released.
it won't be released to the public because it's our emergency operations plan for disasters, so.
Okay, good. Is there anything else, you brought
That's it.
before?
It's all kinds
Yeah, it's,
of, all the sensitivities. and-
Yeah.
we might not even let you look at it. So sensitive.
How do you train your departments on it then?
So,
Departments will be able to see it, we just won't release it to the public.
Attorney Todd will take care of it.
Attorney Todd will take care of it.
Sure.
I'm almost done with my 2-week law class that I do.
Well, I guess it's about time to end the meeting. So, if there's nothing else, come before the board, I'm gonna ask for public comment. Once, twice, 3 times. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Second.
Are you going back into a?
I'll second the motion to adjourn.
All those in
I think it
favor?
was advertised.
Wait, somebody,
Yeah.
It was advertised.
They gotta be done.
that it? So we're going to, meet